Hey crew, it's Pitt, and I am back with some more Search for the Truth. We're going to be digging into what President Trump's plan is if he is elected, when he is elected. I believe he will be the 47th President of the United States. I am firmly behind that, and I want to see exactly where he stands. I am going to voice where I agree with him, and I'm going to voice where I disagree with him. But we're going to go through the actual plan that actually matters. Agenda 47 and not Project 2025. If you want to start at the beginning, the links will be provided in the corner above. Let's dig in and see what he has to say. This is President Trump's message to the auto workers. Let's go.
What's happening to our auto workers is an absolute disgrace and an outrage beyond belief.
Yep.
Auto workers are getting totally ripped off by crooked Joe Biden and also their horrendous leadership, because these people are allowing our country to do these electric vehicles that very few people want.
I can tell you right now that they are not happy with electric vehicles up around Houston after Hurricane Beryl. The people in Texas are not very happy with their electric vehicles today as of August the 10th, right? It is on the news right now. I say the news. I don't watch the news. It's on like Twitter and places. People are not happy with the fact that they cannot charge their cars because there's no power.
And it's a mandate. So you'll ultimately be forced to drive in a car that goes for an hour and then you have to have it recharged. I hope
if you can find a charging station. If it's not the middle of winter. If it's not the middle of summer.
You don't want to go very far away. Biden has imposed the outlandish requirement that 67% of all new vehicles must be electric in less than 10 years. That means Michigan and places that make cars, you can forget about it. You better get your union working because you can forget about it. Those cars are all going to be made in China. According to the
no lies detected.
The UAW president himself, one auto company CEO used the word brutality over 40 times in a single conversation to describe Joe Biden. I call him Crooked Joe because he's the most corrupt president in history. He's also the most incompetent.
No lies detected, and that is taking into consideration President Jimmy Carter.
But Joe Biden's cruel and foolish electric vehicle mandate, that's how bad this policy is. Your union heads know it, but the union bosses don't want to do anything about it because they're not
The funny thing is that once you cross a certain line in the salary, it doesn't matter what the people below you think anymore, right?
leaders. But you know who's voting for me? The people in the union.
I've been in 3 unions. None of them did me any good.
Yeah, the union heads and the Crooked Joe keep using the phrase fair transition. There's no fair transition. First of all, people don't want the electric car. And the ones that want it should get it. But we want to have all forms of transportation
free market.
And all forms of motorization to describe this unnecessary forced transition to electric vehicles. But there's no such thing as fair transition that destroys over 100,000 auto manufacturing jobs. It'll be much more than that. Wastes tens of billions of dollars that should be going to the workers and makes new cars entirely unaffordable for the middle class. That's a transition to hell. You're going to hell, and your bosses are leading you right down the tubes. You shouldn't pay your fees. They get these big fees from all of their workers, and it doesn't matter how bad they are, they'll endorse a Democrat, even though the Democrat's selling you down the tubes. Both the UAW bosses and the big 3 auto executives should be screaming at the top of their lungs. They should be ashamed of themselves, demanding that Joe Biden cancel his brutal electric vehicle mandate before it destroys the entire U.S. auto sector. If the union bosses and the CEOs refuse to fight back against Crooked Joe Biden by forcing him to repeal this disastrous electric car scheme, then you will know they're not pro-worker, they're not on your side, they've got some deals going for themselves. And I'm telling you, you shouldn't pay those dues. You should not pay your dues because they're selling you to hell. You're going to be going to hell. You're not going to have any jobs. All those cars are going to be made in China.
Lies detected.
Every one of them. You can forget it, Michigan.
Now, every one of them's a bit of a hyperbole, right?
You can forget it, South Carolina. You can forget it, everybody. All of those cars are going to be made in China. We sit on liquid gold, and we're getting rid of combustion engines, and they sit on all of the other materials that you need for the batteries. They're going to make all those cars. We're not going to make any of them. So to every auto worker, I stand in total solidarity with you in your fight against Joe Biden's job-killing Green New Deal insanity. It's insanity. When I am your president, I will deliver higher wages for auto workers. I will protect your job.
That's going to be a little bit difficult. So I believe in free market capitalism. I believe that the market will derive where the salaries should be set. Now, that's not to say that we should not impose tariffs, right? And to restrict predatory trade from harming us. I believe that we should be boosting our manufacturing. But the president setting wages is a little bit, that's a little bit outside of the scope of allowed powers there, buddy.
Jobs. I will end Joe Biden's catastrophic electric vehicle mandate.
Now, in the in the allegorical sense of I'm going to increase manufacturing so our wages will go up, I'm with that. But directly setting the wages is a problem.
And by the way, if you want an electric car, you're going to get it. But you're going to be able to get all other types of cars, types of vehicles that you want. And on day one, you're going to be back in business with me, and those factories are going to start opening up again. Remember, when I got elected, I told you all about this in the campaign. And when I got elected, hardly a car company built outside of this country. I stopped it. They didn't go to Mexico anymore. I said, if you go to Mexico, I'm putting a big tariff. You'll make a car, you can have a 25% tariff if you send that car back into the United States. I stopped it. Well, right now they're doing it again, worse than ever before. We lost 32% of our industry to Mexico prior to my getting there, and we lost almost nothing. In fact, we were taking back our industry, but now it's going again. I'll straighten it out. But you have to vote for Trump. You have to vote for Trump. You can't listen to these union guys that get paid a lot of money and they get wined and dined in Washington. They know that electric cars are no good in terms of our workers. So vote for Republicans, but vote for Trump. Because if we don't win this election, our country, not only in terms of auto workers, our country will go to hell. Thank you very much.
All right. So I absolutely agree with almost all of that, right? Except for the setting of wages part, I'm with it. I was part of 3 different unions. I was a paper maker, I was a teamster, and I was a carpenter. None of them did me any good, right? The paper makers abandoned me at the first opportunity for a clerical error, right? The teamsters, I was betrayed by my shop steward. I got injured on the job, and my shop steward screwed me up. And then the carpenters never once found me a job. I paid my dues. They never found me a job in the trade in which I was doing. So none of those did me any good. But I'm still for unionization. If you want to voluntarily be a part of a union and collectively bargain, more power to you. Hold your management to account. Our problem, in large, is somewhat dealing with that, right? There are people who make $53 an hour putting cars together, and that's awesome. You've got great benefits, and that's a beautiful thing, but that drives the prices up, right? I'm okay with that. I am. That's figured into the cost of the car. All right, no problem. I remember back in the 80s, I remember when American made meant something. It really did, right? I remember back when people made fun of you for driving a foreign car. I'm okay with a little bit of bullying, right? Not the overbearing, try to make you eliminate yourself kind, but the gentle ribbing of what are you doing in that car, right? I'm okay with that because we should be focused on us. We should have our own country's best interests at heart. That only makes sense to me. That we should be encouraging our manufacturing. And the number one way that we have to do that is not tariffs. It does not lie in the executive branch. It lies in the power behind the executive branch. Do you know what the power behind the executive branch is? I got a link up here that can tell you, but I'm going to tell you now. It is the people. It is an informed electorate. Us making informed choices about the things that we consume. It is you making the decision that you were going to buy from an American-made company, even if it costs you more. It is you deciding that you're going to shop locally instead of going to the Super Wally World. It's you making the decisions to support the people here as opposed to the people there. That is not to say that you need to be xenophobic or agoraphobic and you don't want anyone, right? We want free trade between other places for things that we cannot get here. That is a good thing. We want our goods going there freely and their goods coming here freely with a good rate of exchange in currency. But the problem is that us, in our greed-filled chase for the lowest dollar, have accepted goods and services from places where they still enslave people. That's a thing. Like they literally cage people inside of the places of manufacture so that they cannot leave. They dictate the food that they get and they pay them. They pay them pennies. Have you ever seen what the beads that they toss at Mardi Gras really cost? The cost in humanity is much more than just the debauchery. We as people, as citizens of the United States of America, the greatest place on earth, the place that has a constitution that protects your right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We, the people here, have to be responsible people. If we are not, then the entire experiment fails. It's not up to anyone else to make sure that we do good. The function of the government is to protect us from threats outside. It is to solve minor disputes between us, but it's by and large to keep us free here. That's the whole goal. Like, we've got the Declaration of Independence, we have the Federalist Papers, we have the entirety of the Constitution and the amendments where we read them aloud so that we understood exactly what the intention was behind all of it. And the intention was minimal government, with the president not calling the shots about a lot of things. He has specific duties. Trump is good at those specific duties. That's why I'm voting for him. It's not about his personality. It's not about the individual policies, because I am sure there are more things that I am going to disagree with than just him setting the wage, right? All right, so now we're going to get back into what he actually has to say. We're going to talk about Trump's pledge to homeschool families. Let me get this figurized and we will transition.
As president, it was my honor to support America's homeschool families and to protect the God-given right of every parent to be the steward of their children's education. Since the China virus, America has seen an estimated
nice code switching there, press.
Estimated 30% increase in homeschool enrollment. When I'm reelected, I will do everything I can to support parents who make the courageous choice of homeschool. Under the Trump tax cuts, we allowed families to use 529 education savings accounts to spend up to $10,000 a year tax-free on tuition for grades K through 12. This was a tremendous win for school choice, very important, school choice, remember that term.
That's a big deal.
And yet that benefit did not apply to homeschoolers. So to support the growing homeschool movement, in my next term, I will immediately fight to allow homeschool parents the same incredible benefit, $10,000 a year per child.
That's a decent investment in getting people out of school. Like, the Department of Education has a lot of serious problems. A lot of those problems, again, come down to us as citizens. But, like, I like the idea of backing up homeschools. I'll talk more in a minute.
Completely tax-free to spend on costs associated with homeschool education. I will also work to ensure that every homeschool family is entitled to full access to the benefits available to non-homeschool students, including participating in athletic programs, clubs, after-school activities, educational trips, and more. To every homeschool family, I will be your champion. Do not vote Democrat. They are looking to destroy you.
That is no lie. No lies detected. I detected no lies in that statement.
If you don't mind my saying that, Joe Biden can't put two sentences together, and yet he's looking to destroy you. Do not vote Democrat. Do not vote for Crooked Joe.
My president's so salty.
Honest.
He's
Donald.
so salty.
Thank you very much.
It's all good, though. I'm with it. We have a lot of problems to address in our education system. homeschooling will solve a good bit of them. Right? The fact that there are alternative educations possible, community schoolings, I think that your tax dollars should go to where you're actually sending your kids. Like where I am, I talk about it all the time. Like the state of Louisiana comes at the bottom of most lists, right? My particular spot here does remarkably well on all of the tests. We also, right here in my little hometown of Walker, Louisiana, where I am at, we have a pilot program in our high school where there are education paths that are other than college bound, right? So what that means is that they teach trades here. They have a certification program here in Walker, Louisiana, where when you graduate, you can fly drones federally licensed. You can graduate with that federal license to fly drones as a commercial person, right? They have an auto body repair program. They have an auto visual program where they teach film and recording and video editing, and they have a computer development program. They have various programs like this where they actually teach life skills to students who are not going to college. A lot of kids are not bound for college, and that's a good thing. The trade skills are a wonderful thing. I was in the trade skills for a long time. I did remarkably well when I was there. I loved it. It was hard work, and I didn't love every day, but overall, it was fun. It was a great job. It was good pay. No benefits, right? But good pay. And so there are other options out there. Right here where I am at is a wonderful public school system, and I don't mind paying taxes into this school system. We pay extra here, even from other people in our parish. We have parishes, not counties, but here in Livingston Parish, even the difference between this and the others, like the other large city here is Denham, right? It's Denham Springs and it's Walker. The difference between the schools is remarkable. It really is. The difference between the output of the kids coming out of those schools is marked. There is a marked difference. Here is a little bit better. We pay more. They pay 8% sales tax. We pay 9%. The difference is evident. We pay our teachers better. We have better teachers. We have better programs. It is capitalism at its best right here. It is working right here. But there are places that is not. You go in the other direction, some of these school systems are severely strained. You go to the north of me in St. Helena Parish, one of the poorest parishes in one of the poorest states, and their schools are bad. And that's not putting it on them. They're doing what they can with what they have available. They don't have a tax base. Like there's literally no industry. There's a couple of gravel pits, there's a couple of sawmills, and that's a wrap. There's not even really any farming. It's pretty low end, right? Their school systems are not working, and a lot of it's got to do with attitude, but a lot of it's got to do with circumstance too. And the ability to pull your kids out of a failing system and to put them where you want them and have the funds to go to that too is a good thing. I think that you should be able to invest in your community if you choose to. If it's working, then yes, you should be able to choose to invest in that. But if it's not, you should be able to pull your money and put it elsewhere. But I like the free market, right? I'm a capitalist. I love it. So next up, let's see what the next topic here is. President Trump's 10 principles for great schools leading to great jobs. And hopefully I just addressed some of that. Let's dig in.
The United States spends more money on education than any other country in the world, and yet we get the worst outcomes. We're at the bottom of every list. In total, American society pours more than $1 trillion a year into public
Steady downhill since the 60s. I wonder what happened in the 60s.
Education systems. But instead of being at the top of the list, we are literally right smack, guess what? At the bottom. Rather than indoctrinating young people with inappropriate racial, sexual, and political material, which is what we're doing now,
bad.
Our schools must be totally...
No lies detected. Not a lie detected in that statement.
...refocused to prepare our children to succeed in the world of work and in life and the world of keeping our country strong so they can grow up to be happy, prosperous, and independent citizens. We owe our children great schools that lead to great jobs and leads to an even greater country that we're living in right now. Right now, we're living in a failing nation because of Joe Biden and these people running it. They're Marxists, they're communists. What they're doing to our country is incredible.
It is an intentional
but we'll take care of
takedown.
that for our children. Here are 10 key ideas that will power our movement for great schools. First, we will respect the right of parents to control the education of their children. Second, we will empower parents and local school board to hire and reward great principals and teachers, and also to fire the poor ones, the one whose performance is unsatisfactory. They will be fired. Like on The Apprentice, you're fired.
You're fired.
Third, we will
You're fired.
ensure our classrooms are focused not on political indoctrination, but on teaching the knowledge and skills needed to succeed. Reading, writing, math, science, arithmetic, and other truly useful subjects. Fourth, we will teach students to love their country, not to hate their country like they're taught right now.
Yeah, no lies detected.
Fifth, we will support bringing back prayer to our schools.
There you get a little bit iffy, right? Voluntary prayer, I am down for it. We do that here, right here. We open with prayers. People pray in the name of Jesus Christ in public at our schools. We have great schools. I'm not saying that it is, but I'm just saying. Also, that is an entirely voluntary thing. Like, you should not be forced to participate in anything.
Sixth, we will achieve schools that are safe, secure, and drug-free, with immediate expulsion for any student who harms a teacher or another student. Seventh, we will...
I'm with that. I'm with you. But then you create the problem of what happens to that student, right? I'm a big one on some rehabilitation. I am. I got plans. We got goals. We've talked about them already. We're going to get there with some more. And I would love to see these children be able to learn some emotional regulation in schools. I would love to see some stuff like my own personal system that I went through and developed. But it doesn't have to be mine. I would love to see some type of teaching these kids some emotional regulation beginning in the beginning, right? It isn't not enough to let it go like it is. So we need to teach them, and then I'm okay with the consequences. The problem is that we have kids who have problems, and if you just kick them out, then that is just expounded. That is just, bam, now you got free time.
will give all
And some of these diversionary schools are worse.
parents the right to choose another school for their children if they want. It's called school choice.
That I'm with.
Eighth, we will
that.
ensure students have access to project-based learning experiences inside the classroom to help train them for meaningful work outside the classroom.
We just talked about that.
Ninth, we will strive to give all students
Like, it really is great. It really is great. The amount of kids that go straight into well-paying jobs, they're doing much better than their counterparts, I promise you.
access to internships
Like, some of these kids that graduate with this drawing program thing, they're going straight into jobs making $35 an hour at 18 years old, fresh out of high school. I'm just saying.
and work experiences that can set them on a path to their first job. They're going to be very, very successful. I want them to be more successful than Trump. Let them go out and be more
Do better than
successful.
me,
I will
baby.
be
Do
the
better than me.
happiest person in the world. But we want our children to have a great life and be
Hey.
successful. And 10th, we will ensure that all schools provide excellent jobs and career counseling so that high school and college students can get a head start on jobs and careers best suited to their God-given talents. This is how we will ensure a great education for every American child.
I got part of that figured out. I can help with that.
And one other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states. We want them
States' rights, baby. Let's get back to the Republican form of government. We are constitutionally guaranteed. Let's do that.
to run the education of our children because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse. We spend more money per pupil by 3 times than any other nation, and yet we're absolutely at the bottom. We're one of the worst. So you can't do worse. We're going to end education coming out of Washington, D.C. We're going to close it up, all those buildings all over the place, and you have people that in many cases hate our children. We're going to send it all back to the states. Thank you very much.
I am for a Republican form of government. I have talked about that quite extensively when we went through the Declaration of Independence, the Federalist Papers, and the Constitution, including the amendments. That I believe in this country. I do. I believe that having the ability to go from one state to another state is beautiful. You don't like how it is in Louisiana? Go to Mississippi. It's different. Go to Arkansas. It's different from that. Go to Texas. It's a whole different place. It's amazing. And you can go. You don't have to ask anybody's permission. Now, it takes you a little bit of money, but you can do it. You can just decide, you know what? I don't like it here. I'm gone. And poof, hop in a car and go. You don't have to have no special paperwork. And you can go to a place that aligns a little bit more with what you believe. If you don't like the fact that we pray in the name of Jesus Christ here in Walker, Louisiana, you can go to another city. You don't have to complain about it. You don't have to participate in it. It's a beautiful thing. It is wonderful. I love this country. I love the promise of this country. I don't necessarily like the direction we've been headed in here lately, but I think we're about to be headed in a better direction. I am an optimist. I'm a white pill guy. I'm out here telling you, hey, things are getting better. I think that Trump's going to win. I think that we are going to see on the backside of this 12 years of prosperity that we have not seen in my entire lifetime. We're going to be doing so much better than the 90s that it's going to be amazing. I think that everybody waking up to the craziness that is going on from the other side, and I don't really like using sides like that, but it's obvious, right? People waking up to that craziness is going to cause a generation like Gen X, but more responsible, because my generation, Gen X, we dropped the ball on a lot of things. These problems that these kids are having, hey, that was us. That's our kids. Our kids are the ones that were causing problems. Our kids are the ones that are in school now. They're the ones that are still learning. There's still hope for them, right? I'm the tail end of Gen X. I'm the very back end. I was 77, so I'm on the tail end. It goes all the way up to 65. That's our kids. We failed. We dropped the ball there. How about we start figuring out how to help them pick the ball up? Start figuring out how to help them to help their kids to not make the same wild-ass mistakes that we did in discipline. That doesn't mean that you need to beat a child, but they do need some discipline. And this gentle parenting crap, it is not working. It is not working out at all. Both my kids knew what a butt whooping was. Both my kids are good kids. Maybe it's a coincidence. Probably not. This is pretty good. I'm digging this, and we're going to go ahead and check out next. America must have the #1 lowest cost energy and electricity on Earth. So let me biggerize this, and we will transition. Let's go.
If America is going to dominate the world in manufacturing once again, as it did when I was running things, you remember when they used to say you can't have manufacturing jobs in our country anymore? I said, really, why?
I remember.
And we created hundreds of thousands.
I'm all for it. Bring it back.
But we
bring back manufacturing. We need it. People were better off when we built things here. We can put quality into it that they don't. You didn't have to worry about if they were putting lead in your oatmeal.
Be the most affordable energy and electricity place anywhere on the planet. We have to have affordable energy. Right now we have energy that's weak, substandard, and unaffordable.
True.
It's made by the wind. The windmills rust, they rot, they kill the birds. It's the most expensive energy there is.
Yeah,
and we have other things that are also no good. It's called the Green New Deal. I call it the Green New Hoax. One of the reasons manufacturing jobs were flooding back into the United States when I was president was that we dramatically reduced energy costs. Sadly, crooked Joe Biden sacrificed this tremendous economic advantage on the altar of the Green New Deal, perhaps because he was bribed by communist China or because Communist China knows all of the money that they've paid him. We have a Manchurian candidate. That's what he is. He's a Manchurian candidate. They know everything about him, and he's scared stiff. He won't do a thing. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China, and Joe Biden's afraid to even talk to him.
I can't put them clips on TikTok, I tell you that much.
Biden's war on American energy has sent prices soaring, and his latest actions will make it catastrophically worse. It's going to be bad at a level that we've never seen. This will be so bad. Under Biden's newly proposed power plant regulations, most natural gas and coal plants will be forced to shut down. By the way, they tried that in Germany, and now they're going back and building coal plants all over the place because they've destroyed Germany. They have no energy.
We've got two coal plants right here within driving range of me. They're like Big Cajun and Little Cajun. And both of them are clean.
So Germany now is building a coal plant every 2 weeks. And China is building a coal plant.
We have a nuclear plant within driving distance too, right? Like they're literally, like you can see from the nuclear plant, Big Cajun on one side and Little Cajun on the other.
Plant every week, every single week, they're putting up a new coal plant. And we're playing games with the wind. This is terrible what's happening to our country. There is nothing to replace our energy at this time, not even close. It's very expensive and it's very weak. It doesn't have the power to power up those big plants that you see. At the same time as Biden is shutting down existing power plants, he also wants to force hundreds of millions of Americans into ultra expensive electric vehicles. They cost twice as much as what you have. And what you have is better, and it goes a lot longer. And it's a lot easier to fill up. And we have liquid gold under our feet at a level that no other country has. But they'll strain the grid to...
I wonder if that's because it regenerates.
...to the breaking point. It already is at a breaking point. If you look at California, it's got brownouts and blackouts every single day. People can't turn on their air conditioners.
No lies detected.
And it'll drive electricity prices in.
I mean, yes, okay. Every single day is probably hyperbole. I'm sure there's 3 or 4 days a year that they actually get to have power full use.
To the stratosphere. If Biden's policies go forward, our electricity costs will be the highest on earth. They're already very close.
Tell them again.
And it'll drive electricity prices into the stratosphere. If Biden's policies go forward, our electricity costs will be the highest on earth. They're already very close. With shortages, blackouts, and crippling inflation, U.S. manufacturing will be dead, absolutely dead, and China will be laughing all the way to the bank. They will end up controlling the world. My plan is the exact opposite. As president, I will set a national goal of ensuring that America has the #1 lowest cost of energy of any industrial country anywhere on earth. I want to be #1. We were energy independent just 3 years ago, and now we're begging Venezuela.
Pepper's Farm ain't got to remember. I remember. I got friends in the oil field. I got family in the oil field, so I remember when they could work. I remember that.
For their oil, and yet we have many times more.
Now, what Biden doesn't want you to know is that he has kicked off a lot of that drilling again. He's keeping it under wraps because the first thing that he did was to stop it, but we're in such dire straits that he has to start it again, but he doesn't want anybody to know until after the election cycle.
More than any other
and I say him because he is the titular figurehead.
Country. There's no country, Saudi Arabia, Russia, nobody, no country has what we have. We will develop the liquid gold that is right under our feet, including American oil and natural gas, and we will also embrace nuclear, clean coal, hydropower, which is fantastic, and every other form of affordable energy to get it done. We will not only match China, we will be cheaper than China by a lot, and more energy will mean lower inflation, and it'll mean more jobs. I will cancel Biden's ruinous power plant rule, terminate his electric vehicle mandate. If you want to buy an electric car, that's fine, but you're going to be able to buy every other form of car also.
Capitalism,
and unleash
baby.
Domestic energy production like never before. But just think of it. Energy independence 3 years ago. Energy dominance was going to follow very shortly.
Bet.
We're going to pay off our debt. We're going to lower taxes for everybody.
Ain't nobody in this country understands those words, paying off debt.
They ended that, immediately ended it. First day, they ended it. I will fully modernize the electric grid to prepare it for the next 100 years, implement rapid approval.
That's a hell of an investment, and I would love to see that down in hurricane-ridden Louisiana.
For energy projects, and greenlight the construction of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of brand new beautiful power plants that actually work. This will pave the way for an enormous growth in American wealth. In the future, every manufacturing plant, every data center, every semiconductor facility and assembly line will want to be built in America. They're all going to want to be in America. So we're going to have the lowest cost of energy. It's a big factor.
Sound like it's a good time for you to get your plan together.
This will be the place where the cost of energy is lower than any place else on Earth, where the economy is stronger than any place else on Earth, and where the workers are the best, brightest, and most talented anywhere in the world. I want to thank you very much. We cannot let this man who is diminished mentally and physically, but much worse mentally, we cannot let him tell us what to do with our country. He has no clue. He can't
He is
put
the
two
president.
sentences together.
Like, we have to give him the
We have
credit,
to make
even if it
America
is just a
great again,
titular hit.
and we can't do it with a man who is severely diminished.
But that
Thank
is
you
true.
very much.
He is very much severely diminished. But he was severely diminished when he began. He's just more diminished now than he was. And that's severely unfortunate. This was an interesting one, right? I believe that we should be absolutely getting our feet back under us. Our strategic reserves are there for a reason, and it is not to lower gas prices. It is in case we are attacked. It is the reserves that we hold so that we can defend ourselves. And the fact that they are depleted when just 3 years ago they were high is terrible. The fact that we are no longer producing as much as we were. We are ramping back up. Don't get it twisted. I fully understand that. But there's a reason they're keeping it under wraps. There's manipulation going on in everything, and that is always true. And you should always be going back to fact check things. Don't take anything I say for granted. Go back and look at it for yourself. The reason we're doing this is so that we can understand exactly where the man stands from his own mouth, from the words that he says, in its entirety, without me cutting it up and trying to chop and piece together things that I want him to say. We are exploring it together. We are trying to understand what Agenda 47 is about. And I got to tell you, so far, I have not found anything that I would disagree with. Everything that I have seen so far, I have slight variations on what I would do to implement the same type of program in a different manner. But other than that, let's go, baby. Trump 2024, make America great again. I am all for it. Manufacturing back, people having jobs that actually pay good money and has benefits, fuck yeah. Let's hook that shit up. That seems like a decent investment. Upgrading our infrastructure and our power grid. Y'all remember 3 years ago there was a promise made that we were going to update some infrastructure. I haven't seen it. I know my wife works in construction. She's a project manager for a construction testing firm, right? They go in, they test the construction materials and make sure the compaction is correct and that you're using the right concrete and that it makes its compaction standards and it is safe to use. And there is construction going on, but it's all the big boys playing. It's nobody small. And the people who are playing are doing stuff, but it's not the same scale of stuff that it was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, business was booming. Construction was wide open. In 2019, everybody had a better time. Everybody was doing great up until the thing happened at the end of that year into the beginning of the next one. Then all of a sudden, the plan that this man thwarted in 2016 started picking up steam. There was something already happening in 2016, and it got delayed. We got a lot of progress upwards, and then a lot more progress downwards. They had to double time to catch back up to where they had planned on being right now. We have an opportunity here to thwart the plan. That's how I look at it. I see us avoiding a bottleneck, changing the direction of things. I think that we're going to have the best 12 years of my life if this election goes the right way. If it doesn't, it's going to be rough. We'll make it through, probably. almost certainly most of us will be alive on the other side of it. But that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. You think inflation's bad now, just wait until... Whew. We're going to want to do one more, and then we will go on the other side and see what's up. This is returning production of essential medicines back to America and ending Biden's pharmaceutical shortages. Let me biggerize that and that did not biggerize. Biggerize that and transition. Let's go. All right. Talk to me. I say go.
Under crooked Joe Biden, there has been a...
I gotta say, I love it. I know some people get turned off by that, but I don't care. I'm okay with some good ribbing, some gentle bullying.
Catastrophic increase in shortages of essential medicines. Last year, new drug shortages were up by 30%, with 295 active drug shortages just by the end of 2022 alone. It's a mess. There's currently a...
I know a lot of people that cannot get a lot of things, right? I say a lot, it's a couple, and it's a lot of things, though. There's medicine that my dad takes that they had to swap because they could not get their hands on what he was supposed to be taking.
Shortage of at least 14 critical cancer drugs in the United States. They just can't get it. And every month of delay, cancer treatment increases the risk of death by at least 10%. It's unthinkable that this could be happening in the United States of America in 2023. It is truly unbelievable. We are becoming a third world country very rapidly. Between our open borders and our bad elections, we are third world. But even more dangerously, the top producer of critical medicines that we rely on in the United States is a place called China. China.
Can you imagine that a place that cannot get dog food correct is in charge of making sure that you get your medicines correctly? Now, I know it's private businesses, but they have very firm governmental controls in place over there.
China produces 95% of all ibuprofen, 91% of hydrocortisone, 70% of all Tylenol, and nearly half of all penicillin. Can you...
Bruh. Talk about hit the essentials. Like, those are the drugs I'm good with.
Imagine that. This is not just a public health crisis, it's a national security crisis. As part of my plan to obtain total independence from China, we will phase in tariffs and import restrictions to bring back production of all essential medicines to the United States of America, where they belong. I signed an executive order to begin this process in 2020. But Biden has shamefully failed to follow through. He wants it ended. He wants to take care of China. This is a matter of tremendous urgency. American lives are on the line, and it will be one of my top priorities as president. It will also create countless new American jobs. Thank you.
All right. I'm with it. I'm with it. I think that we should be making everything here. Right, there are obviously some things that we can't do for ourselves, but it's not many. There's not many things that we cannot do here. It is going to cost us, right? It's going to cost extra money. You're going to have to spend more money to buy American. But again, this is not, it is set. It is set in part by the president. But that's not what he's supposed to be doing. Right? That's not supposed to be his job. He's trying to return as much as he can to us as he possibly can. I believe that. I believe that he is trying to get us back to the Republican form of government that we are guaranteed. I believe that. I do. I believe that he is pushing for us to return to being manufacturing good, to be well educated and taken care of. I believe that this man actually has the best interest of us at heart. I do. If I didn't, I wouldn't vote for him. There are things that he says that I'm like, yeah, no. There are things that I say that he's like, yeah, yo. Because sometimes it takes a bully. On this stage, it takes a bully. It kills me. It kills me. They're like, he's not presidential. We had a president who would put his penis on the table and say, if anybody's got a bigger one than me, then they can do it. That's a real thing. The president would put his penis on the table and say, if anybody's got a bigger one, that's presidential. We had another president who had a literal harem of women. We had another president who beat his opponents with a stick until they quit. That is all real. We had a couple of presidents that shot each other. It takes a little bit of nutsack to do this job. And that's not to say a woman can't, right? I'm not putting that argument in there. What I'm saying is it takes some cojones to step up. To be like, no, bruh, I'm not going to tolerate that and mean that shit where people actually believe it. Because you can say it and then Crimea happens. Or you can say it and for 4 years Crimea doesn't happen. You can say it and then be guided, escorted through a combat zone under safety with fake air raid sirens. Or you can say it and step unescorted into hostile territory with a man who is at war with you, right? That man walked into Korea by himself. No Secret Service, no National Guard, no Army, no Marines, no nobody. He walked over there with the man who is a dictator, shook his hand and said, all right, now come to the table and let's talk. And he did. They sat down for the first time in 50 years and started talking peace. Where are we at with that now? How about the Abraham Accords? I love peace, y'all. I have seen too many people earn this thing right back here. I have. I've seen too many people underneath the white headstones. I don't want to see that shit no more. I love me some peace. Donald Trump brought us peace. He had peace breaking out in places that hadn't thought of it in half a century. Millennia. The Abraham Accords. It's wild the things that got spun against him. It's wild the things that we are being convinced about him. And it's wild the things that we're being convinced about us. We're being convinced that we're lazy and we don't want to work when there is no manufacturing. And not everybody has a college degree. Not everybody is meant for an office job. Some people need a trade. There's nothing wrong with a trade. You can make a wonderful living as a plumber, a carpenter. I was a carpenter, a boilermaker, a pipe fitter. Like, you can make really good money. You can earn a wage, build the dream. I think that we should be enabling that to the fullest extent. To the fullest extent. We should be investing here. We don't have money to send other people. We got to get our house in order. We got to clean this room. Let's do it. I'm fully on board with everything I have seen so far. That is not to say that there will not be something later that I will disagree with. And if so, I will be just as vocal. I'm not here to blindly follow the man, but he hasn't said nothing I disagree with yet. This is out of his mouth, his plans, what he's going to do. This isn't Project Heritage or Project 2025 from the Heritage Foundation. This isn't somebody else's idea of what he's going to do or what they want him to do. This is him saying, this is what I'm going to do. Here's where I stand. So we're going to see what he says. That's what we're going to do here. Hopefully, I brought a little bit of enlightenment and maybe a little bit of entertainment to some severely complicated issues. These are things that we need to discuss if we're going to be the informed electorate that we are determined and destined to be. I'm trying to pull up as much as I can. I am investing all of my energy into this as much as I can. I think that we're going to be fine. I think that we're going to come out on the other side of this beautiful and rosy. I really do. I think that we're going to come out from this election cycle if Donald Trump wins, and we're going to see 12 years of prosperity. This is the time to make your business plan. Right now, we're in July. Come January, you're going to want to be putting that plan into place. Now is the time to prepare. Now is the time to grasp the reins of your greater purpose. Accept the responsibility for yourself and those around you and charge into the future, because the future belongs to us. It does not belong to them. It belongs to us. The light. We got this. We can do this. Let's get it done. Trump 2024, baby. I am all on board. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. God loves you. You are perfect, whole, and complete just the way that you are. And this has been Pitt's Take. Peace.